we go. So let's get the show on the road. All right, everybody. So let's go ahead and welcome Mr. Jonathan here. He's joining us for our live for today. Jonathan, you can hear us okay?
I sure can. What's going on, Robert?
All right. So awesome. Yeah. So we're going to get to know Jonathan today, get to know a little bit better how he can, of course, create value for the audience. And yeah, absolutely. So let's start off with getting to know you. So tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been in the business, all that good stuff.
Absolutely. Well, a little bit personally about me. I am a father. We have 5 kids in between myself and my significant other. We have 2 dogs, a cat, and a tortoise. So we have a full house, a little zoo. Been in the business right around 4 years now.
Okay.
I'm going to be hitting 4 years here in June and loving everything of it. Prior to that, I was a Marine for about a decade. And so I was in the military doing that and transitioned straight into real estate and just ups and downs like everyone. But
Mhm.
you're here, you live and you learn.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah, so 4 years in the business, and what company are you with right now?
I'm with Real Brokerage.
There we go. Awesome. So I knew that. I just wanted the audience to know that. So yeah, so awesome. So now 4 years in the business. Where do you get most of your business from, by the way?
I get 90% of my business all comes through social media.
There we go. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Of course, how to grow your audience, how to grow and get more engagement, how to, of course, get paid using social media. So we're going to jump into that here for a little bit. So, James, let me bounce it out over to you.
Yeah, so Jonathan, I guess let's start with this. You approached this social media strategy, so to speak, very systematically, right? And you're improving it all the time.
Right.
Give me kind of the 1, 2, 3 of how you got started, and you're not doing like 2 deals a year type of thing, right? Like you've really blown this thing up. So how did it start? What did that look like, and what was the processes and the systems in place?
The way it started came from a struggle, just like every other story in real estate. I was a struggling agent. I was started off with a good team, and I did really well, and then decided to do my own thing because, of course, we all think we know it all, and then we realize we don't know it all. And when I went independent, I realized that I didn't know anything, and I struggled to sell any homes. And during that time of struggling, I was trying to research every possible way how to generate leads at a low cost. I didn't want a big overhead because I wasn't making that much money. And so I kind of stumbled across the social media marketing on YouTube. And so essentially that's where I started, was on YouTube. I found a partner and a mentor that helped me out with YouTube and basically taught me everything that I needed to know with how YouTube works. And me being a Marine, I hated being on camera, right? I hated to smile. And so I was just like, there's no way, this is not going to be me. And at that time, I said, you know what? I don't have anything else to lose. Like, I was walking dogs, I was door dashing, trying to Uber Eats, just trying to make money, just trying to get by. So I took my chance on YouTube. And while I was doing YouTube, I didn't realize like YouTube is very intricate, and my personality, I didn't want to do all the editing. So what I did is I hired editors to basically do all my YouTube videos, and I was paying $1,200 a month for all my video editing, which I didn't have $1,200 to spend because I wasn't making much money selling homes. And for 6 months, I stayed consistent on YouTube, and I didn't really see much results. And I was this close to giving up. I mean, I was looking, I was applying for different jobs. I got my insurance license thinking I was going to sell life insurance, right? And then after 6 months, a breakthrough finally came, and I finally had my very first deal come through YouTube, where it was actually a solid deal where we just met. And then within a week, I got this person into escrow. Within 21 days, I made a nice $10,000 commission check. And I'm like, wow, I just made all my money back from all this editing I've been spending, right, in 6 months. And then it kind of created a snowball effect where after that 6 month, the seventh month, 2 deals came, right? Eighth month, the deals came, and it came and it came and it came. So after about a year, I did over 250,000 in gross commission from YouTube alone. And I was like, wow, this really works. So a breakthrough happened. And I was like, I wonder if I can do this with a different platform.
Mm.
And that's where I was like, okay, let me try to be a little bit more omnipresent. And so I tried Instagram. I was like, let me learn Instagram. Let me learn the differences and figure out how I can do this on Instagram. It's a whole completely different platform. And I studied Instagram for about 2 to 3 months, just how it works, how it moves, what works, what doesn't for real estate. And then I found my niche in it within Instagram. Like I know the type of videos I want to provide to people. And so I did just that. And November 16th, 2023 was my very first video I ever posted on Instagram. April 24th of 2022 was YouTube. I remember these days. I'll never forget them. And within 28 days, got my first lead on Instagram. Within my first 3 months, I had 6 deals on Instagram. So things can produce a lot quicker through IG, and I realized that. So what I started doing is I started focusing on Instagram primarily because it's a lot less time. Actually, no video editing spent, so it cost me $0 to make my videos because I just do everything myself. It's a lot more simpler. I probably spend a total of maybe 4 hours at the most a week for 7 videos on IG. So I was like, okay, this makes a lot more sense. My P&Ls are a lot better with IG. It's just my time. That's all I'm spending is my time. And so with YouTube, it was my time and my money. And so this year I really dedicated to Instagram because last year alone through my social media platforms, I did over 40 transactions just as a solo agent, just through social media.
Wow.
And then what I've realized is that by the end of last year, the beginning of this year, is I'm getting too many leads, and there's only one of me. So I have a good problem. So I decided to actually make a small team now, where my team members are starting to get, all my business that I'm doing because I just can't handle, when I'm talking to 30 to 50 people, and sometimes it's 1 week, sometimes it's 1 month. So it's really changed the game for me in everything that I do in every aspect. So I got started through YouTube. And now I'm transitioning to Instagram, a little bit of TikTok, a little bit of Facebook. Crazy enough, after about a year and some change on Facebook, finally got my first deal from Facebook the other day. All organic, by the way. All organic.
It's a lot to
So
unpack right there.
it's a
It's a lot
lot.
to unpack.
Yeah.
Robert, anything you want to ask about? I mean, there's a lot to unpack there. Anything you want to dig into there?
Yeah, for sure. So let's break some of this stuff down because basically one of the things that I liked what you said, Jonathan, is that you were at a breaking point. You found yourself 6 months into it, and you're like, you know what, I'm done. And that's a little bit of a challenge that I have with a lot of agents that I've coached in the past. Is that everybody has this microwave mentality, and this microwave mentality is we want instant results, and it doesn't work that way. So I'm glad you continue to push forward. You continue to move in that direction. So I want to make sure that the audience understands that no matter what it is, whether it's YouTube, Instagram, knocking on doors, calling expireds for sale by owners, working your database, that it's going to take time. You just have to be consistent at it. So I'm glad you actually mentioned that because now you're starting to see some of those breakthroughs. You closed 40 deals last year. I'm curious, what's your goal for this year? How many units and how much income?
For how many units personally? Personally, I'm not trying to sell more than 25 homes personally. I want the team as a whole to hit 80 transactions to 80 units. We're a very small team. There's 3 of us, but I believe it's completely doable. So personally, I'm actually focusing on more on coaching and teaching agents on how to do this versus me just grinding it out. But my goal this year was to make a little bit more than last year, which was 500,000 gross commission. So this year I was shooting for 750 gross commission. That is the goal this year, which I think we should be able to hit that.
Cool. Awesome. So the other thing too, going back to the getting the trajectory from with what you did last year to this year and continuing to move in that direction. If you go back and you had the opportunity to speak to Jonathan prior to the 6 month breakthrough, what's probably some of the things, and again, we're talking specifically about YouTube in this case, what would you have done different or what would you tell that version of Jonathan to do different?
I would have told Jonathan at that time, you should have just done it sooner. That's the number
Yeah.
one thing I would have said. You should always just start it. Start it yesterday. That's number
Yeah.
one. Number two is improve every single video. Just improve. Just get better little bit by little bit. Every video, think about what ways what your audience likes, what they don't like, and just improve that way.
Yeah. So looking at it from a perspective of just don't procrastinate,
Right.
get it off the ground, do it a little bit sooner. And then the other part of it too is that being strategic, and strategic being from a don't just settle for putting something out there, have intention behind it, and the intent of constantly looking at how do I get 1% better and 1% better and 1% better to eventually you can kind of capitalize on the audience, and also the consistency. I'd imagine obviously the other challenge with people building an audience, or building for that matter business through social media, is the lack of consistency.
That's
Do you have anything from a strategic standpoint? In other words, something that's systematic from a calendar standpoint. Anything from that
yes.
direction that maybe you can highlight to the audience?
Yes. Oh, what I've always been told, what I've always read is if it's not on your calendar, it doesn't exist. Right.
Mm,
So make sure that you schedule out your content. Make sure that you time block your periods that you want to go film. It's highly important because if you're just trying to gunsling it and you say, you know what, I'm gonna have time on Tuesday afternoon, that time can get ate up super quick, really, really quick. Whether it's family, whether it's business, whether it's this or that, just schedule it in advance. Always time block ahead. And always schedule your stuff in advance because you might think that easy video you're going to post, it's going to be easy. And then you realize you're stuck 45 minutes editing it and it's not as easy as you think it is. So definitely time block.
yeah. So set some time aside. The other thing too is I want to make sure. I've been hearing a lot of people speak of recent for whatever reason. I don't know if it's just simply the journey that I've been going to, and I hear a lot of people where they talk about themselves, they talk about how great they are, and so on and so forth. I think what I like about this platform, James, is we get the opportunity to get back to the audience because we're talking about procrastination, we're talking about creating systems, we're talking about managing your schedule, we're talking about being in a position where you can make it scalable, as Jonathan is doing by now having other people creating that audience for, in a sense, himself. So I want to make sure that everybody understands that there is the opportunity to absorb the information that's coming out of here. So don't just listen to the words, apply them, because that's the most important thing that I want the audience to understand is the application side of this. But James, with that being said, I know you got some questions you wanted to line up.
Yeah, when it comes to obviously when you reach the point, right? If you go back a little bit to where you're getting some leads coming in,
Right.
primarily buyer leads, I would imagine, you still are facing certain objections, right? Probably the same 3, 4, or 5 objections you get over and over from each individual buyer. Not much changes there, but was there a point where you realized you needed to get better at maybe the sales aspect of the business, or was it just purely, hey, if I get enough numbers coming in, the sales skills won't matter. I'll just close what I can.
That is a great question, James. Honestly, everything matters. Sales and marketing, right? We're in the business, sales and marketing. That's what it is. I'm also always constantly trying to improve sales because you're going to hit a point where I've taught agents this. Hey, I can teach you exactly what I'm doing and I can help you generate all these leads. But if you don't know how to convert, you're going to be wasting everyone's time. You're going to be doing all this work for no reason. You still got to learn how to sell, how to convert, and how to get these people into your calendar,
Hmm.
right? Because at the end of the day, they're watching a 30, 15-second, maybe a minute video of you. Not a whole lot of time to build a whole lot of trust like it is through YouTube platform, let's say, for example. So how can you redirect them to give their phone number, their contact info, and get them on the calendar to speak with you? That's what you really got to learn. And I'm constantly learning this where I'm changing my scripts when people DM me all the time to try to see what works, what doesn't. How could I improve? How can I make it maybe a little bit more systematized, right? I've tried the link tree. I've tried book on my calendar. That's not as effective for me personally, where people will actually want to click on a secondary site. The best way that we like to do it is straight through the DMs, have a little meaningful conversation about go five to seven times back and forth with someone. After 5 to 7 times, you figured out a little bit of their motivation, a little bit of their why. Ask for some details, ask for some contacts, ask how you can provide value. Once you can provide value, they're willing to, hear you out. And then from there, we get that contact information. So it is really important to definitely hone in on your sales skills because I'll be honest with you. They're not just shopping with me. They're seeing probably 3 other realtors doing exactly what I'm doing. But how am I going to be the one that stands out from them? It's how I speak to them, my tonality, my sales skills, what I can provide, everything.
And so when you're initially having that conversation, you mentioned something important, right? You're asking them a lot of questions, right? You're not telling them, hey, this is the best community, or you got to go here, or
Correct.
here's all the pricing. You're asking them questions because, as Robert knows, and we say this all the time, but selling isn't telling, it's asking questions. So you learned that skill of asking the right questions, and that enables you to find out what you said, their motivation, right? Because that's very important in sales, is why is this person doing what they're doing, and how can we help them get there? And again, you ask, hey, how can we provide some value for you, right? So those are kind of the key things that you hit on, it sounds like.
Correct.
I love it. Robert, anything you want to
Yeah,
expand on that sales
yeah, for
aspect of?
sure. Let's talk a little bit. Well, first off, I want to make sure that the audience is following Jonathan. If you guys aren't following Jonathan, of course, if you guys aren't following James, and of course myself, make sure you guys are following all three of us. Let's talk a little bit about behind scenes systems, staffing. Who manages the behind the scenes? The DMs? Is it you yourself? Do you have somebody that's doing that for you?
Robert, great question. A we just hired an ISA who plays both roles of being an ISA, but she's also an appointment setter.
Okay.
So she's called, her role is also setter. So she's now responsible for managing all the DMs and setting the appointments.
Okay.
So before it was me, and it's gotten to a point where it's a little bit too much to handle. I'm trying to be the business owner, not the operator. So I'm getting to that point. And initially, it's okay for you to do it because you'll be able to manage it. But as you grow and as you progress, you definitely want to find yourself getting some type of setter because that will explode your business.
Yeah, you definitely want to be in a position constantly looking at the scalability factor. The other thing too, and this of course goes to the audience. The other thing too, what we always want to look at is how do we promote ourselves? How do we promote the people that are underneath us? And what I mean by that is that how do we take this person that is doing this position and how do we get them to do this next position so that we can of course hire the more remedial job in a sense. Now, as far as the constant back and forth DMs, is that you, or are you more focused on just the tail end of it in regards to the appointment setter, or is it all the ISA at this point?
It's now becoming to the point where it's all the ISA.
Okay,
But it was all
got it.
me. Yeah,
Okay.
it was
Hmm.
all me.
Yeah. So now your job is really just to create content.
Great content
Is at this point.
at
Okay.
this point.
Got it. So the audience, I want to make sure you guys understand that initially you are going to be the content creator, the editor, the DMer, the everybody. But the one thing I want to make sure also the audience understands is that it's great from the generating of business and leads and so on and so forth that comes in. The one thing I do want to make sure that everybody understands is on the skill side, because that can fall through. I see people where they do a great job of generating names, numbers, and contacts and information, but they do a horrific job when it comes time to the follow through, to the appointment setting, to getting them to basically to the point where they're setting appointments. So make sure you're always looking at, and again, this is to the audience, make sure you guys are always looking at not only the content, but you're also looking at the skill side of it. So constantly look at those things that are going to, of course, be of importance. So fast forwarding, if we were to fast forward for you, Jonathan, to maybe 3 years from now, what does that look like for you? What does your team look like? What are some systems that you're looking into that you need to start implementing?
2 to 3 years. I'll be honest with you guys. One of the biggest takeaway that I'm going to tell everybody is the systems that we want to implement is to get into more paid ads for listings.
Mm,
Because in the game of marketing, it is very difficult to organically get listings. Like I'm going to point that out there. There's nobody that I know of that's in real estate that is really great at organically getting nothing but listings.
Hmm.
There's not. You do have to pay to get in that game. So one system that we're working on right now is actually looking at paid ads for strictly listings. And so we want to shift our business from being about 80% buyers to 50-50, maybe a little bit more on the list side to where we can actually get into the 60 to 70% more listings and a little bit less buyers. We've gotten to the point where we can scale that, and now it's not an issue because we've made a lot of revenue, and the P&Ls are great. They're outstanding because the majority of this, aside from the systems, is free.
Mhm.
So if you're a brand new agent or you're struggling agent or you've been in this in a very long time and you're just stuck and you're just like trying to figure out a different way, social media is a great platform to how to do that. It'll allow you and leverage yourself to start making the P&Ls where you can attack listings at a higher
Yeah.
scale.
Yeah, the other thing too is in with what you're saying, Jonathan, is the speed to lead, which is really important, and that speed to lead is something that's now becoming a lot more common. This goes back to well, let me add it real quick. So Jonathan's talking about that the response time and getting the competition of two or three or four other people that they're actually engaging. It's the same thing with what people are doing when it goes to Zillow with Trulia, Redfin, walking into an open house. The challenge that most agents that they do is like, oh cool, I got a DM, I'll get to them after dinner, I'll get to them after lunch, I'll get to them after this. Speed to lead is really important, and I want you guys to make sure you understand this, because if you're sitting there waiting and anticipating I'll respond back in 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, or whatever it may be, that client does get cold. So now with that being said, Jonathan, share with the audience a little bit about that same topic. What do you do to make sure that there isn't these leads? Everybody has some leads that fall through the crack, but how do you try to avoid that? What are some things that you do?
So I have notifications on strictly for DMs.
Mhm.
So anytime we hear those DMs ring, we try to get within 5 minutes, try to just have a response. Like that's what we try to do. So notifications is very important for us and for myself and also the setter. So we're always trying to stay on top of them, trying to have the meaningful conversations as quickly as possible. Like you said, in an hour and 2 hours, they're going to be cold. They're no longer want to talk to you, or they're talking to three other people. So speed to lead is very, very important.
Yeah, yeah, cool.
How
Yeah.
important, Jonathan, would you say, you talk about improving the video quality, improving the videos as you go on throughout the journey, but how important is it for you to understand the algorithm, right? People talk about the algorithm all the time. How much does that play into the type of videos you make, or are you kind of just finding your own niche in the algorithm? How does that factor
So James, you're going to be here a very long time talking
in?
about this.
Well,
What I
Mm,
want
give
everyone
us
to
the short version.
understand, I just want everybody to know this. What the algorithm really means is this: is how, how good is your content where people are actually absorbing it and you're getting a high watch time, right? The algorithm really favors people that have high watch time. That means your video just getting seen over and over again, or it's just getting seen all throughout. Just having something where you figure out you're consistent. And before, I used to tell myself, like, you have to post minimum 4 times a week, maybe even the case once a day. And then I've come to realize that's not the case, because I know of other creators out there that post once a month, once every 2 months, and every single time they post, they're a viral hit because they have great quality content. Now you can be the opposite. You can be some of the Ryan Pinedas where they post 4 times a day, right? The quality of content is not as great, but the law of averages work in his favor because he's just posting so much. He's getting ahead of the game in front of everybody. So it doesn't matter whether you guys post once a day, 4 times a day, or once a month, as long as your content is good and deliverable, where it's providing some type of value, you will do good. That, that's what short answer for this algorithm thing. Just provide something that's good of value.
quality
Valuable.
quality over quantity.
Unless you're Ryan Pineda. So
Yeah. So, all right. Well, to wrap this up, James, I don't know if you have anything else you want to add to this. We want to, of course, be respectful to Jonathan's time. We always try to keep this within 30 minutes. And of course, if you guys have any questions, I always encourage you guys to feel free to ask away. So, anything in closing, James?
It's tough because there's so much more I'd like to dive into, even just on
Mhm.
the algorithm, right? Because even within the algorithm, there's so many different niche videos all throughout social media. So I'd love to dig into that more, but we don't have time. So I think for now, just thank you so much, Jonathan, for jumping on with us and
Absolutely.
sharing what you have
Yeah.
so far. And yeah, I like it.
Yeah. Anything in closing, Jonathan, you want to leave the audience with?
Just post today. I guarantee you will get better and better every day that you continue to do this. Be consistent and just be committed to doing this.
Mhm.
There's days I tell you I don't want to post. That's almost every damn day I don't want to post.
Yeah.
But I still do it because I know this. I was told this 3 years ago, and I live and eat and breathe this. If you treat it like a hobby, it'll pay you like a hobby. If you treat it like a business, it'll pay you like a business.
Love that. Awesome. Well, in closing, just want to again extend my gratitude to you, Jonathan. And again, for those of you guys that are in the audience, if you guys aren't following any one of us, make sure you are following. And yeah, I want to make sure you guys are getting benefits and value from every single last one of these sessions that we do. With that being said, thank you guys. I'll see you guys on the next one.
Thanks,
Talk to
guys.
you soon.
Here.